Welcome to KeepItReal Studios, the only channel on YouTube that keeps it real.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back!
Bro, let me talk. Bro, moving stiff when he walk. I'm too tight, got the G on my. Like, I'm too tight, got the G on me. Pass the gas and get low from the low. Wizard on court, I be ballin' like. I'm a wizard on court, I be ballin' like, whoa.
The one and only, the notorious Conor McGregor. Arguably the most iconic man in UFC history. When he first made his debut back in 2013, he spun the whole world on his axis. Whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny the fact that this man has definitely changed the whole mixed martial arts game forever. When it comes to mixed martial arts as a whole, you cannot deny Conor McGregor's legacy. It's quite undeniable. Even though nowadays he's a shadow of his old self, you can definitely see that his legacy will forever live on. To this day, you still have fighters, reporters, and news outlets continuing to talk about him whether he's there or not. Now shifting into the topic of today's video, I'm going to be looking back on Conor McGregor's career, focusing on some of his highs and his lows. I'm going to be talking about what Conor McGregor has truly done to transcend the sport, and also just grading him as a fighter as a whole, and to see whether or not he's still great or he is falling short. Throughout Conor McGregor's career in the UFC, he has had amazing and spectacular victories. But today, I'm going to be focusing on 3 specific victories that I believe were so impactful in Conor McGregor's career. The first notable victory of Conor McGregor would have to be his win over Jose Aldo. I truly believe that this was such an impactful win, not just for Conor, but in UFC as a whole. At this point in time, Jose Aldo was undefeated for over a decade. Going into this build-up, Conor McGregor psychologically and mentally destroyed Jose Aldo into the build-up of the fight. If you look online, there's countless breakdowns, there's countless reactions towards just the mental torture that Conor put Jose Aldo through. And just the way that Conor defeated him within the first round for 13 seconds was absolutely phenomenal. Even to this day, when I watch it, I still can't believe how Conor McGregor managed to just pull it off in one of the greatest featherweights of all time in Jose Aldo. This win was truly phenomenal. Not even just for Conor McGregor, but just for the UFC as a whole. I felt like when Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, this was all over the world, all over the news, and I feel like it got a lot of fight fans invested in UFC as a whole, and that's why I have to keep it on this list.
How do you do that? How do you predict these
if
things?
you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. So I see these shots, I see these sequences, and I don't shy away from them. A lot of times people believe in certain things, but they keep to themselves. They don't put it out there. If you truly believe in it, if you become vocal with it, you are creating that law of attraction, and it will become reality.
Moving on to the second notable victory in Conor McGregor's career, this one I believe is truly underrated. I would have to say it's his rematch with Nathan Diaz. If you haven't seen this fight in a long time, I definitely recommend that you go back and look on it, because this was actually an absolute war. Not even just the fight in itself, just the build up to the fight was spectacular. The UFC has never seen Conor McGregor lose. Just having Nate Diaz as an opponent was just a perfect fit for Conor McGregor's career. He was the one who didn't let the trash talk get to him. He had a spectacular chin, so Conor McGregor couldn't just spark him out easily, and that just culminated to an amazing build up and an amazing rematch and an amazing fight. And we've never truly seen Conor McGregor go the distance at this point in time, and Nathan was just able to bring out the dog in Conor McGregor, and it was such a spectacular fight. Don't get me wrong, I do believe there were moments in the fight where Conor McGregor did show that a little bit of fatigue. He was kind of running away from Nate Diaz, and he was clinching a lot, but still, it was still a very good fight. Especially in the earlier rounds, you can definitely see Conor just amazing striking, amazing footwork, and just how he just knocked down Nate Diaz multiple times. It was a spectacular fight, man. It was definitely a war. I would have definitely loved to see them have a trilogy, but hey, it is what it is. Before I talk about the third most notable win in Conor McGregor's career, I do believe there are 2 fights that deserve an honorable mention. Starting off his first fight with Dustin Poirier. To me, this was the birth of Mystic Mac. Just the way that he was just mentally torturing Dustin throughout the build up to the fight, and just predicting that he was going to knock him out and just knocked him out. was absolutely incredible, and I truly feel like this was even the starting point of Dustin's career to become the amazing fighter that he is to this day. So I'll definitely have to put it on this list. I'll also have to put his fight with Chad Mendes. Man, this was such an amazing fight. Just the way that Conor McGregor just fought and went through adversity, because Chad Mendes was a beast, man. I feel like Chad Mendes is one of those fighters that doesn't get much love and appreciation because of how tough and incredible he was in the octagon. He really put Conor McGregor through the ringer, and just the way Conor was able to come back and defeat him was absolutely spectacular. Now, moving on to arguably the most notable win in Conor McGregor's career, it would have to be his victory over LD Alvarez in Madison Square Garden. Overall, to me, this was Conor McGregor at his peak. You know, at this point in time, Conor McGregor was absolutely loved. He already had the trash talking, he had the aura, he had the confidence, he had everything he needed, and all he had to do was just beat Eddie Alvarez, and he absolutely did that in spectacular fashion. If you go back and watch this fight, it was a complete embarrassment for Eddie Alvarez, and Eddie Alvarez is a top elite level fighter, and Conor McGregor made him look like he shouldn't have been near a UFC building at all. The man that Conor McGregor fought at the bar put up a better fight than Eddie Alvarez did that night. It was such an absolute masterclass performed by Conor McGregor, and just the fact that he was the first ever double champion in UFC history is something truly undeniable. And I remember just in the build up to this fight, a lot of people thought that Conor McGregor was actually gonna lose. A lot of people thought the fame was getting to him, and just the way he came back and just the finishing sequence that he did on Eddie Alvarez was absolutely spectacular, man. And that's why I have to put it at #1 on just Conor McGregor's best wins ever.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Shifting our focus to Conor McGregor's notable losses in the UFC, starting off, I have to give it with his first bout with Nate Diaz. At this point in time, Conor McGregor looked invincible. Whatever Conor McGregor said at this point in time would come true, and all fans were behind it and all fans would believe it. And just the fact that Nate Diaz went out there, didn't let the trash talk get to him, and just submitted Conor McGregor, it was such a huge stain for the UFC, and I truly believe that has changed Nate Diaz's career so much. And a lot of people tend to forget, Conor McGregor losing to Nate Diaz was actually bigger than Conor McGregor defeating Jose Aldo. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but at this point in time, Conor losing in the UFC was something so crazy and something we've never seen. And even the fight itself was pretty a good fight. You know, Conor McGregor came out strong, used all of his energy at the start, and you know, Nate Diaz just being Terminator, just being durable, eating all the shots, just came in, choked them out. Truly spectacular. Another notable loss in Conor McGregor would have to be his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. This was absolutely one of the most spectacular builds up to a fight in UFC history. Just from Conor McGregor throwing the dolly at the boss to all the things he said about Khabib, his family and everything. It was such a crazy time in the UFC, and a lot of people hadn't seen Conor McGregor in the octagon in a long time, and Khabib was just undefeated. It was just dominating everybody, mauling everybody. It was such a crazy build up. I felt like the whole world was there that night and invested to see the outcome of the fight. And honestly, I feel like Conor McGregor did a little bit decent in that fight, but obviously Khabib was just a monster, you know, just his takedown, his pressure, and as the fight went on, he got more comfortable on the feet. He actually dropped Conor McGregor at one point. It was absolutely spectacular, but there's a reason why Khabib was undefeated, and he just managed to choke out Conor McGregor. And we all know what happened after the fight, just Khabib jumping the fence, fighting everyone, the whole massacre. To me, that's probably one of the most iconic moments in UFC history. Not even just him jumping the fence, but just from the build up, just the combination of everything. To me, I truly believe that was one of the best UFC fights and the UFC build-ups we've seen to this date. Moving on to Conor McGregor's other notable loss, I'll have to put his second fight and his third fight with Dustin the Diamond Poirier. To me, I truly feel that Conor McGregor's downfall really happened the night he got knocked out by Dustin Poirier. I feel like once he left the UFC to go fight Floyd and the money game, I feel like all his passion was gone. He came back, lost to Khabib, but everybody lost to Khabib, so you can't really be too mad about it. Then he actually came back, had a victory over Cowboy, then he had a rematch with Poirier, then Poirier knocked him out. And after that knockout, you can definitely see that shattered Conor McGregor's ego and just him as a fighter, because he was so nice to Dustin in the second fight. Then by the third fight, he became a completely different man. Conor McGregor was truly crazy at this time, and he was just kind of using anything to help win this fight. You know, he was trying to get in Dustin's head, but at this point in time, Dustin Poirier was truly the diamond. Nothing could get to him, and he was already ready to defeat Conor McGregor once again. Now, just focusing on the fight in itself, the second fight was actually a very close bout. If you actually go watch it back, Conor McGregor definitely won the first round. He had his moments, he was piecing up Dustin Poirier, but as the fight went on, you know, Dustin Poirier's experience in the octagon just came in handy, you know, just the calf kicks and everything and his boxing, and he eventually knocked out Conor McGregor, and that was such a huge part of Dustin Poirier's career. Focusing on his third fight with Dustin Poirier, if you actually look back on the fight, it was a pretty entertaining fight. I actually really liked the fight for what it was worth. You know, Dustin Poirier definitely was throwing bombs, you know, he had him down, and it was just showing levels and just the comfortability, but Conor McGregor still had moments in the fight, you know, but just the way the fight ended was a little bit disappointing and anticlimactic, but still overall spectacular. But another reason why I do have to put this on the list is because that was still a loss for Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier was still winning that fight, and that is Conor's last performance in the UFC, so I do believe he deserves to be on this list. Now we're at the part where I basically just rate Conor McGregor as a fighter, but this time I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to look at certain aspects of Conor McGregor's fighting, then I'm going to give him an overall score. So starting off, just focusing on Conor McGregor's striking, I would have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I still definitely believe that Conor McGregor is still a very well-rounded striker, and the way I'm kind of grading this is him in the past and also him currently, so I still definitely believe he's an amazing striker, from his footwork just to his movement in this octagon, his feints, and his counters. I believe that's one of Conor McGregor's best attributes, his counters and his speed. Anytime Conor McGregor has a fight or had a fight, usually I'm always thinking how the opponents would do well with his counters and his speed and his timing. So I'll definitely give Conor McGregor a 7.5 out of 10 when it comes to his striking. Now shifting my focus to Conor McGregor as a grappler, I do definitely believe he scores a 5.5 out of 10. I feel like throughout his career, grappling was never his strongest suit as a fighter, but overall I still believe he had very solid takedown defense, especially back in his prime. You know, there are moments where he has shown to have good takedown defense, and even if you did take him down, he always managed to pop right back up. But in terms of just basic wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and just being able to submit his opponents, I wouldn't say he's really the best. So that's why I'm giving him a score of 5.5 out of 10. Shifting our focus to Conor McGregor's cardio, I'll definitely give him a 5 out of 10. I do believe this is probably one of his weakest suits, because if you watch any Conor McGregor's fights, the first 2 rounds he's always coming out guns blazing, he's always using energy, you know, he comes doing spinning roundhouse kicks and everything like that. I feel like he usually exerts his energy in the first 2 rounds. Usually it always works for him, he usually knocks his opponent out, but when he's not really able to knock out his opponent and the fight goes on, you definitely see him fatigue, you see him running away, he's always looking at the clock, he's always clinching his opponents. As the fight progresses, you definitely see Conor's cardio go down. I feel like when it just comes to 2 rounds, that's when Conor McGregor is at his best, but anything past the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, Conor McGregor is cooked. So I'll give him a 5 out of 10 in terms of cardio. Now moving on to Conor McGregor's chin, and honestly I do believe Conor McGregor actually has a very solid chin. We've only truly seen him being knocked out once, and that was by Dustin Poirier, but Dustin Poirier truly knocks out everybody. You know, this guy has dynamite in his hands, so you can't really blame him too much. So I'll say overall Conor McGregor does have a very solid chin. There's only been a few moments where we've actually seen him knocked down or clipped too hard, but I'll say Conor McGregor still has a very decent and solid chin. I'll definitely give him a 6.8 when it just comes to like his durability. Now focusing on the last aspect of Conor McGregor, I want to focus on his heart, or what I like to call, does he have that dog in him. I'll say back in the day, he definitely did. You know, you could definitely see it in his fights with like Chad Mendes and Nate Diaz. You could definitely see he wanted it. You could definitely see the hunger and motivation. But I feel like as years go by, I don't think Conor McGregor truly has that dog in him anymore. I don't think he can even go past like 3 rounds in a fight. So I'll definitely give him just like a 6 out of 10. I don't think he'll quit on himself like easily, like most fighters would. But I definitely do think like if you put the amount of pressure on him, he will fatigue and you can get him out of there. So in cumulation of everything, if I had to grade Conor McGregor as a fighter, I will give him a 61%. I don't necessarily think Conor McGregor is the worst fighter. I still think he's very good, but I feel like as the years go by, the MMA sport is always constantly evolving. And if you're just looking at the athletes that we have nowadays, I do truly believe Conor McGregor doesn't really compare. Back in the day, he was kind of the new evolution of fighters, but now it's kind of like a blast from the past. If you're comparing him to like all the current lightweights currently, I feel like he doesn't even reach top 5. I feel like he could be top 10, but even if he wasn't top 10, I feel like he'd be like barely a gatekeeper or anything like that. But just to sum it up, I'll give Conor McGregor 61% as a complete fighter. Overall, that's just my thoughts on Conor McGregor as a fighter as a whole. I know Conor McGregor is truly a different man from what he was back in the day, and I do believe a lot of people don't tend to love him as much as they did. But honestly, I truly kind of feel bad. I feel like he was such a great man once upon a time, but now just inactivity, drugs, addiction, you know, it has just truly changed Conor McGregor. All the money, finances. I actually tend to feel bad. I feel like a lot of people tend to kind of clown him, make fun of him, or just hate on him, you know, which is kind of understandable because he did bring a lot of these things upon himself, and the way he carries himself and the way he treated other fighters in the octagon wasn't so respectable. I can't really hate on him because I do believe without Conor McGregor, the UFC wouldn't be where it's at. So I do want to kind of keep respect on his name. But overall, man, I would love to see Conor McGregor return back in the UFC and actually have that fight with Michael Chandler. I do believe that's actually a very winnable fight for him. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll see in the future. But that's it for my video today. Just comment down below what is your thoughts on Conor McGregor as a fighter. Do you think he's ever going to return to the UFC? Do you ever think we're going to see him fight again? But that'll be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to keep it real.